garden friends, and welcome to week 16 of This Week in the Garden. I'm still amazed that it's been 4 months that the series has been going on. The time has flown by so quickly. I'm sitting here in the shade of the tomato hedge, and yeah, I'm gonna have to tackle this today. That's how I'm gonna start the week. It's Tuesday. Marginally cooler today. It's still hot, but the humidity has dropped, so it's not bad as long as you don't move too much. And I've already been busy doing things on other things on the farm, and have had to change my shirt already. So yeah, I'm gonna tackle the tomatoes today. Basically, I'm just gonna hack these back, side shoots, take them all down and top them. This is just getting too big, and if you can, I don't know if you can see behind me, but it's bending the fence quite a bit. And we have more than enough paste tomatoes for Sylvia to make her sauce and share it with everybody. So I want to give the tomatoes that are on these a chance to ripen before frost. Again, we're like second week of August, and our first hard frost is usually sometime around the first week of October. Although I predict this year it'll be later. Check back and we'll see how that works out. Yeah, so we only have like 8 weeks left. I want to make sure that all the tomatoes we have, especially on these lower trusses, have a chance to ripen before that frost happens. So I'm going to get to work dealing with these tomatoes, and hopefully can put this project to bed today and then move on to something else. As I'm cutting, I noticed this. It is a tomato hornworm that has been infected, I guess, parasitized by a parasitic wasp. There's a species of wasp that lays their eggs on tomato hornworms and kills them. The eggs hatch, the larvae hatch, and eat the tomato hornworm as dinner. So this is a good thing. I will leave this hornworm on. I usually pick them off if they're not infected, but if they do have these wasp casings on them, I leave them on. And that way the wasps have a chance to reproduce. These are good wasps. It's horrifying and fascinating at the same time. Okay, so I've got one side done, the west side done. Looks a little better. Still looking pretty thick, but it's definitely more tidy. As you can see, I took out all of this. This is a big pile of tomato cuttings. The other thing I did is, and I'll continue this on the other side, is I lifted the canopy quite a bit to get air circulation, and also to make sure that the tomatoes get a little more sunlight, which will help with ripening. So I'm going to continue on the east side and do the same thing. Well, an hour or so later, the eastern side is looking a lot better. Oh my goodness, this was a mess. A lot of side shoots had flopped over and sort of masked where the main shoots were, so I had to go through and, oh, there's a and dig them out, cut them back, and limb them up. As you can see, lots of tomatoes, a lot of tomatoes. Whew. I'm gonna go to the other side. All right, back on the western side of the tomatoes. I think the light is probably a little better. You can see how much room I left from the base of the plant up to, the first trusses of tomatoes. This hopefully will improve air circulation and reduce the chance for blight to start forming. Got piles of tomatoes that I'm going to save here. But look at all these tomatoes hanging already and ripening. The acorn squash is making a break for it through the tomatoes, so we'll just let it, see where it goes. But yeah, these tomatoes are looking a lot better. It needed it. As you can see, I took the tops right off to the height of the fence, and I'm not going to let them go any higher than that. That's it. So basically the tomatoes that are on here, and there are plenty of green tomatoes that are still forming, and here's a beautiful truss of San Marzano tomatoes. So now these will get all of the energy from the plant, the energy the plant was putting into all those leaves and more shoots. It can put into growing and ripening these. Ooh, Sylvia, you're going to have a lot of sauce this year. All right, it's hot. I'm going to go in and have some lunch, figure out what's next. Actually, before I head in, I think for the day, it's really hot out here in the sun. I wanted to show you I found 3 more tomato hornworms, and they didn't have wasp carcasses on them, or wasp eggs on them, so I'm going to throw these out to the chickens. Tasty little treat for our flock. Okay, it is now Thursday, and it's actually nice out for the first time in weeks. It's been so humid and hot. It's still hot out in the sun, but at least it's, I don't know, it feels nice for once. Yeah, I'm in the blueberries again, and hopefully for the last time this year. Oh my goodness, the blueberry harvest has been insane, and there are still blueberries on the bushes, but I'm done. I'm so done with blueberries right now. We've put away probably 20 1-gallon freezer bags full in our freezers. I have no more room in one freezer because it's pretty much all blueberries. And I still have a dozen or so yogurt containers, the big yogurt containers full of blueberries in the fridge that I need to do something with. So I think I'm going to go on a little bit of a baking spree. And then, yeah, I've had a number of friends come over and pick to their heart's content. And I'm just done. And a lot of the berries that are on now are ripening and like really quickly and over ripening. I was in here yesterday picking, hopefully for the last time, and a lot of the berries were getting soft. So it's done. It's time to call it. And so today I'm going to pull this bird netting down and put it away and give the birds a chance to get in on the buffet, and they will. They'll have it picked clean probably by the weekend. It's amazing how fast it disappears once I open up the netting. So yeah, let me get to work on pulling this netting down. It's going to be a chore, but yeah, another milestone in the gardening year is when I pull down the blueberry netting. I know it's getting close to the end of summer, and here we are in the middle of August. Yeah, all right, let's get to work. Well, the netting is off. That took a few hours. Most of the time spent was untying all the little ties that I'd put to connect the various pieces of netting. Once I got those off, it was pretty easy. So I've got the netting piled up. The long end walls get wound around these planks, and then the other pieces get braided, kind of looped, looped into this sort of braid, which keeps them from getting tangled up with each other. And all this will go up in the attic of the barn until next year. So yeah, that was blueberry season 2026, and as you can see, there are still, believe it or not, blueberries in here, even despite all the picking. Still lots of blueberries. But it's now time for the birds to have their share. There are some bushes here that are pretty well picked clean. Like this was an early variety, and that's pretty much picked clean. Same with this one. But yeah, it's kind of a shame to leave all these blueberries, but I'm so done picking. So much time picking this year. So yeah, I think that wraps up the blueberry season. And yeah, a good one. Well, it's now Saturday morning, and I've got a few tasks I want to wrap up today. It's been a week. It's mid-August now, and this farmer is tired. Let me tell you, I've hit the wall that I usually hit about mid-August, where I'm kind of just done. But there are still many weeks to go in the vegetable garden, so we just push on. But this week I've actually taken it a little bit easier. Gave myself a day off, and I'm going to take another day off tomorrow. So yeah, starting to mentally, I think, wind down from the craziness of the early growing season. So one of the tasks I've got today is to take down this Japanese beetle trap, which is, as you can see from behind me, right next to the blueberry patch. There are a lot of opinions on whether or not these things work, but I think in this case, it's worked for me. I put a trap, just one trap, here about, 15, 20 feet away, downwind from the blueberry patch. Japanese beetles get in my blueberries every year and do a lot of damage, mainly on the tops of the blueberry bushes, eating not just the leaves, but the blueberries as well. And I found that this is my third year, having one trap downwind from the blueberries acts as a lure for the Japanese beetles that are headed to the blueberries. And I trap bags and bags of these things. Yeah, especially the first year. This year I've actually noticed a drop, and I'm hoping that my successive use of this, year after year, has reduced the Japanese beetle population. Now, I know a lot of people talk about using milky spore to reduce Japanese beetle populations. You spread it on your grass, your lawn, and it prevents the grubs from, hatching. And yeah, that's great, except we have 24 acres, 6 or 8, somewhere in that ballpark, of which are in pasture. Milky spore just isn't practical. And honestly, they don't really bother anything else but the blueberries. Occasionally they'll get into the vegetable garden, but the main target seems to be the blueberries. And, that's the one I really want to preserve. So one trap on one post for a few weeks when the blueberries are ripe, and that seems to work just fine. So it's done its job. I'm going to take it down now and, put it away until next year. Back in the market garden, I just spent a few minutes harvesting some green beans from the second batch of jade beans, and then found a whole bunch of red bell peppers that are ready. There's actually a bunch more, but I can only process so many at one time. And then harvested more summer squash. The summer squash are kind of getting toward their end, which is fine because I've had my fill of zucchini and summer squash, and I'm sure every one of my neighbors has too. So we'll move on from that pretty soon to the winter squashes. One thing I'm noticing is the black turtle bean plants are starting to yellow, which means, they're starting to dry up. Here are the pods, lots of pods. So hopefully lots of little black turtle beans inside there. We have to wait until they dry completely, and then we'll pick them and spend the fall and winter shelling them. Looks like we're going to have a bumper crop too, so it's going to be exciting to see how much we end up with. The pollinator border is buzzing, literally buzzing with bees. I can hear there's like a low-level hum going on in here. This morning one just ran away, or flew away. This morning the goldfinches, I don't know if you can see it, see if I can focus in on it. At the top of the corn stalk there. Whoops, flew away. Anyway, there are goldfinches in here that are picking at the sunflowers, testing to see if they're ready, and stripping them if they are. And I don't know, about half an hour ago there was a whole flock of them in here, chirping and pecking at things, which is what I want to see. But yeah, so this pollinator row, let me zoom out again. This pollinator row did okay this year. Not as fabulous as last year's or the year before. So I don't know whether that was just a factor of the weather, lack of water, I don't know. But it was still fun. We had lots of color and lots of bees in here. And, like the cosmos are still going. I haven't deadheaded recently. So I'm actually kind of surprised I'm seeing so many cosmos. Actually, let's look over here. This, I think, is the cupcake white cosmos. Look at that. I mean, they've exploded. That's great. And the tithonia is doing really well. So yeah, it's definitely worth the effort to put a pollinator row in your garden to attract all kinds of insects. Looking down right below my feet are these massive watermelon. Oh, this is great. And then muskmelon. This one might actually be almost ripe. I have to do some research to find out exactly when those are ripe. But yeah, it's definitely late summer in the melon and squash patch. And look at the size of these butternuts. They are huge. Lots of butternuts in our future, which, as I've said before, I'm so happy about. So I think this week I'm going to end up cutting the tips off of these vines, these melon vines, and the honeydew, maybe the squash, because we're getting down to it now where the fruit on the ends of these vines, like I question even whether that might make it. But certainly no melons smaller than that are going to make it to full ripeness before frost. So I kind of have to make a hard decision here, about whether to cut this vine and any fruit that might be on it, just because I want the plants to spend more time on the stuff that we do have going and less time putting out more foliage. So that'll be a decision for next week, I think, not this week. Back in the brassica row, the kale row is looking a little bit thinner this first set of kale is pretty much done. We've harvested, Sylvia harvested the curly kale, I harvested the Dino kale. The Dino kale actually might still have a little life left in it. It hasn't been attacked by aphids or the flea beetles as badly, at least this batch anyway. But this curly kale, as is typical for this time of year, has got aphids and it's got some sort of fungus on it. So yeah, I've been pulling it off and composting it and or giving it to the chickens, one or the other. And same with the old broccoli plants. Been yanking those up slowly. I like to try to leave stuff in as long as possible though, just because I want to keep the soil covered. So I'm a little bit slow to pull these out, even though they're done. They're covering the soil and they're doing a job. So yeah, looking a little rough right now. I do have a fourth generation of kale under the grow lights that I'm going to try to get a fall crop out of. We'll see. Down here, my second and third ones got a bit beat up by flea beetles. I think the Dino kale is going to be fine. This curly kale though, again, I think, I don't know, stress. It's got some sort of fungus on it that just makes it not edible. And then the third planting here got completely beat up by flea beetles, and that was my fault. So I may, again, the Dino kale is probably salvageable, and honestly, I prefer the Dino kale myself to the curly kale, but we'll see. I'll go through it and pull anything that just isn't worth keeping for now. As far as the cabbages go, here's the red cabbage. I don't know. They're starting to form little heads, but they're not moving fast enough for me. So we'll see. Again, we're kind of under the gun here because it's now mid-August. Here are the Famosa cabbage, the Savoy cabbage. I had a few seeds left, and they're starting to form some heads, but they're also getting beat up by flea beetles. So we'll see how they do. They're looking good, other than the holes from the flea beetles. So we'll see. Oh, I have one more broccoli head. Can pick that today. Ooh, another one. Side shoot broccoli. And look at this corn. Oh my goodness. Wow. And look, we have ears. Yay, that have gone brown, which means, I believe, that they've been fertilized, so that's good. Oh, I'm so excited. Cannot wait to see the results of this corn. And let's just take a moment to admire this blue sky day we're having today. Haven't had one in a long time. It's been hazy, hot, and humid, and today is actually kind of dry and medium warm. So look at that, no filter. That is just pure summer New Hampshire sky. Whew. Well, I think that's it for week 16 in the garden. Yeah, week 16, wow. 4 months of in the garden and probably still another 2 to go. So yeah, it's been a long summer. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it for today, for this week, week 16. I promised myself I would do an hour or 2 of weeding over by the perennials, and you don't need to see that. I mean, it's just weeding, me on my hands and knees pulling weeds. Yeah, and then I think I'm just going to take the rest of the day off after that and relax a little bit. Yeah. Think about what's next for next week. Next week will be another busy week. So thank you again for joining me in the garden. Do appreciate that you're here, and come back next week to see what else is growing in the garden. Take care. Bye.